Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. So please let me know if you can hear me well, if you can see the screen well as well, because we have had some technical issues and we want to make sure that everybody can hear us and can see the slides on the screen, okay? So in case anything is not working, let us know in the chat and we will try to fix it. But thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today. I see already a lot of movement in the chat. That's amazing. It's amazing to have you all here. Thank you so much for joining us in this session about the integration between Lodgify and VRBO. I'm sure that today we will be learning a lot of useful things for you to be able to manage the integration between these two platforms in the most efficient ways. Before we start, I would like to thank also my colleagues that are here with me from the Lodgify team. There's Marisa, she's the director of partnership here at Lodgify. There's Massimo, he's one of our most senior agents in the connectivity team. And somewhere there should be also Dominic, he is the group product manager here at Lodgify. But there's a really, really good news today, a surprise, because today we have a special guest, Shivali from the VRBO team. She's the business development manager, and she also agreed to join us today. So thank you very much to all of you guys for being here. And before we start, I also wanted to remind everybody that these webinars are part of a series called Mastering Lodgify series. And we are having a new episode pretty much every month on different topics. We are starting today with the channel manager. More webinars about the other integrations are coming the upcoming months. So I hope to see you there as well. And also, if you missed the previous episodes, you will find all of the previous webinars on our YouTube channel, so Lodgify YouTube channels. Just look for the playlist called Mastering Lodgify series, and you will find all the episodes in there. Okay. And of course, if you couldn't make it to this session, the live session, if you can make it until the end, don't worry, we will be sending the recording by the end of the week. So probably tomorrow, but if not tomorrow, it's going to be on Monday for sure. Okay. So do not worry. And okay, I would say we can get started. Today we will be learning how to connect to VRBO, how to manage the connection once the connection has been established. So let's get it started. At the end of the presentation, we will leave 15 minutes for you guys to ask all the questions that you have. We will try to cover as many as we can, but even if we can't cover them all, because we expect a lot of questions from you, we will send the follow-up in the email together with the recording. All right. So let's get started. What are we going to talk about today? Today we will be looking at what are the integration requirements. So if you want to connect to VRBO, what are the requirements that you have to meet in order to be able to do that? How to request the connection and how to check the connection status. How to manage listing content, rates, and availability for your VRBO listing, bookings and payments, so how you can manage VRBO bookings and how you can manage VRBO payments, and finally, the message integration. And we also have some very good news that we want to share with you guys. All right, so at this point, I want to give the stage to Marisa. She will be sharing some nice insights on our partnership status with VRBO.
Thanks, Adri. I'm Marissa, the Director of Partnerships at Lodgify, and I see some people sounding off in the chat. I'm from Houston, Texas, so I've seen some fellow Texans in there. Thanks for joining. And yeah, as Adri said, so we're super happy to announce that this year we've achieved Vrbo's Elite Partner status. And what this means is that we're part of an exclusive group of top-performing connectivity partners. What we've done to achieve that is we've reached certain API standards to provide a high quality and reliable connection for our users. And this also means that you benefit by not only having Lodgify support access, but additional support and attention provided directly from Vrbo. And because we regularly work together on co-marketing initiatives, you also have the chance to be featured in a success story or a case study that highlights your rentals and your business. And we also have additional benefits like having our partner Shivali join the chat today, although I think she might be having some technical difficulties. So hopefully she'll be able to make it. And if any of you are not yet listed on Vrbo, I don't know if you can, there we go. What are some standout features of Vrbo that distinguish them from other OTAs? Well, they attract high-value travelers, so mostly families or larger groups, and this drives more revenue. You can ramp up your revenue and your earnings by booking longer stays. You can also diversify your distribution channels by leveraging not only Vrbo, but their global sites and listing on other Expedia Group channels. You can expand your reach with Expedia Group's 100 million average daily searches. And if you are interested in signing up, or if you want to add some more of your rentals, you can go ahead and scan that QR code that you see on the screen. You can just take out your phone camera and it'll take you to the page where you can get started. And I'm not sure if Shivali is here, but maybe she has something.
I think she's not here. I think she's issues. But yeah, no worries. As soon as she can join, we will give her the mic. So thank you very much, Marisa. That's amazing news, right? Elite partner status. That's amazing for us, of course, but also for you guys, because that means you also get some like a sort of premium assistance from us on this integration. So amazing news. All right, and for everybody who hasn't subscribed to Vrbo as well, here are a few reasons why you should. All right, so while we wait for Shivali, as we said, I think she has some technical issues, but let's start talking. Let's deep dive into this integration, okay? Obviously, to integrate to Lodgify, if you already are on Vrbo, there are some requirements, but starting from Vrbo also requires you to meet specific there are specific requirements in order for you guys to be able to list your rentals on Vrbo. So we will divide these requirements in 3 different categories. VAT requirements, that is specific to Vrbo, so to your Vrbo subscription. Listing content requirements, that once again is these are Vrbo requirements, but that are also relevant when it comes to the integration to Lodgify. And then finally, what is needed for you to be able to integrate to Lodgify from Vrbo or vice versa. Let's start with the VAT requirements. In order for you to be able to list your rentals on the Vrbo platform, Vrbo requires you, depending on where you are located in the world, to provide with some identification. In particular, if you are in the European Union or in the UK, you must provide a VAT number or a tax identifier. If instead you're in New Zealand and Australia, you have to provide an ABN number or NZBN number. And if you're in Quebec, GST or QST number. I'm sure you're already familiar. I see Shivali is back. Maybe you want to jump in, Shivali? Can you hear us? No, I think she can't hear us. Okay. Then I'll continue, and if at any point you want to jump in, you're able to interrupt me. Please feel free to. So I'm sure you're already familiar with this, but these are mandatory requirements in order for you guys to be able to have your properties listed on Vrbo. Moving on to the listing requirements. Let's say that you already started your subscription to Vrbo, all good. At this point, for your listings to be visible on the actual search engine in Vrbo, your listing must meet some specific content requirement. Okay, what are these content requirements? Your title, so the name of your rental, must be at least 20 characters long. It can be longer, but not shorter than 20 characters. The description must be at least 400 characters long. And once again, it can be longer, but not shorter. And finally, you must upload at least 6 high quality pictures. to each one of your listing. Okay, so while these are not really integration requirements, it is really important that your listings meet all of these, otherwise it's simply not going to be visible on VRBO. All right, so now let's move on to the actual integration requirements. What is required of you if you want to connect your VRBO account to your Lodgify account and map the listings in both platforms? First of all, we can only connect one VRBO account to one Lodgify account. That means that if you have, I don't know, 10 listings and they are split into different VRBO accounts, we will be only able to connect one to your Lodgify account, all right? So it's 1 and 1. Then once the connection has been established, all payments for your VRBO bookings will be managed in Lodgify. What does it mean? That you must activate in Lodgify either a credit card payment gateway from one of the options and the integrations that we support, or PayPal, all right? Or both. Of course, if you want, you can activate both at the same time, no problem. In one of the previous episodes of this series, we also spoke about how to activate credit card payment gateways, how to use PayPal, how to manage payments. So I really encourage you to watch that episode as well in case you missed it, to learn more about the topic. The currency in Lodgify must match the currency that you have in VRBO. First, you choose what currency you want to use in VRBO by subscribing to a specific master brand. VRBO is known all over the world with many different names depending on the country, right? So we know that it's called Abritel in France, Fevo in Germany, etc. Okay, so depending on the master brand that you're subscribing to, you will have to use that specific currency, and the same currency must be used in Lodgify as well. And all listings within one VRBO account must use the same currency, okay? This is important. If this requirement is not met, the connection will not work as expected. All right, so now that we have covered all the requirements from VRBO side and also from the integration side, let's move on to the next topic, how to connect to VRBO. Okay, how can you request to be connected to VRBO? How does it work? So the connection process is divided in a few steps, 3 specifically. First, you request the connection to Lodgify. Lodgify enables your listings for the connection, and at that point, you have to be contacted by VRBO implementation team. Okay, so this is a necessary step. If VRBO doesn't reach out to you, that means the connection is not finalized. And then finally, it will be VRBO team confirming the connection to you once it's finalized on their side by email. Let's take a closer look. How can you request the connection to Lodgify? So in our knowledge base, if you look for the article that is related to how to connect to VRBO, you will find the forms. Through these forms, you can contact us and request the connection by sharing with us the rental that you want to connect, the policy that you would like us to set up for you for VRBO, and finally, the booking settings. When I say booking settings, I'm referring to whether you want to use the option to for instant bookings in VRBO or booking requests, because both are supported. Once you have filled in the form, the connectivity team at Lodgify will receive your request. We will make sure to enable the rental or rentals for the connection to VRBO. And at that point, we will ask you to fill in a form. Okay, this form is the onboarding form for the VRBO team to receive your project. If you don't fill in that form, VRBO will never be aware that you're trying to start a project. Therefore, they will never reach out to you because they haven't received the form, and the connection will stay on hold until the form is completed and VRBO reaches out to you. Okay, so it's really important when we send you the confirmation email that the connection has been established on our end, that you fill in the VRBO onboarding form and then you wait for VRBO team to reach out to you. During this call with VRBO, they will be sure to understand a little bit how you want to map the rentals. All right, so these Lodgify rental should be connected to this listing in VRBO. Or if the listing doesn't exist in VRBO yet, you can also choose to export it from Lodgify. So basically, the details and the settings you have already configured in Lodgify will be pushed to VRBO and create a new listing. All right. So this is really, really important. And then finally, once VRBO team has reached out to you, everything is being set up on their side as well, they will send you an email notification that looks like this. I know it's very small, but it's just a confirmation that the integration is live. So you will know exactly when the integration is live on both sides. This is very important because we have a lot of customers asking about the status of the connection. And in many cases, it gets stuck on this step, like between step 1 and step 2, because the form is not completed. And without the form, of course, it's like VRBO never receives your request to connect. So it is really important. Okay. Now, let's say that VRBO sent us the email to confirm that our integration is live, so we know for sure that we have been connected on both sides. How can we check the status of our connection? First of all, you can check this if you have your Lodgify account open in front of you. Open any of the rentals that you have already connected to VRBO, head to the sync settings page, and there you can see the status of the connection. You can run into 3 different statuses. The first one is pending for VRBO. This status appears in 2 different cases. The first one is right after Lodgify has connected you. So Lodgify has enabled your listings for the connection. That means the connection has not been finalized yet, and therefore maybe you haven't been contacted by VRBO yet, etc., etc. The second scenario in which you will find pending for VRBO update status in the sync settings page is when you change something in the content of your listing. Something means you can change, I don't know, you change a sentence in the description, for example, or you upload a couple of new pictures. In all those cases, you're applying changes to the content of your rental in Lodgify, and it can take up to 24 hours for those changes to be retrieved in VRBO. During those 24 hours, the status of the connection can be pending for VRBO update, but that doesn't mean that the connection is not working anymore. It's still running. It's just a status for you to know that there's an update that is being that is running in the backend. All right. Next status is unpublished. This means simply that your connection has been finalized on both sides. So you have been connected by the VRBO team. However, your listing is not visible on VRBO because it's unpublished. You can clearly change the status of your listing from published to unpublished whenever you want. In some other cases, it's unpublished by the VRBO team. So your listing gets unpublished by the VRBO team because maybe you're not meeting one of the requirements we were talking about before. In that case, we suggest you guys reach out to the VRBO team to clarify why the listing has been unpublished and how to republish it. Then finally, last status will be published. That obviously means that the connection has been finalized by Lodgify and by VRBO, and your listing is visible, bookable on the VRBO platform. All right. So these are the 3 different statuses you may run into when looking at the API connection in the sync settings page of your rental. Now, what happens after the connection? As for any channel manager, what happens after the connection is that you will be able to keep your calendars synchronized between the 2 platforms, right? So if Lodgify gets a booking, or if you get a booking through Lodgify, that booking will block instantly the calendar on VRBO so that you don't get overbooked. Same if it's the other way around. So if you get a booking in VRBO, that booking will be imported into Lodgify and block your Lodgify calendar so that you don't get external bookings. However, with VRBO, after the connection, you will be able to fully manage your listing content Remember when I said content before? From Lodgify. But what does the listing content include? It includes the listing details, so the name and the description. If you change the name in Lodgify, the name of your rental in Lodgify, that will update your listing on Vrbo as well. Remember the Vrbo listing requirements. So the name must be at least 20 characters long. Same for the description. If you change the description in Lodgify, it will update on Vrbo as well. And one of the requirements is also related to the description, that has to be 400 characters long, at least. Next, what else is synchronized from Lodgify to Vrbo? Amenities and house rules. So amenities include the rooms that your property has to offer, the facilities, amenities, house rules. In the house rules refers to whether you accept pets, or you allow events, or you allow smoking. Everything that is part of the house rules is managed from Lodgify as well. Okay. And then finally, photos and location. So if you upload a new picture to your Lodgify rental, that picture will be sent and exported to Vrbo as well. Same for your address or directions. So all of these settings after connection will be managed from Lodgify. If you want to change them, you will have to head to your rental in Lodgify and change them from there. Okay. So these pictures, I know the screenshots are really small. It's just to give you an idea of the sections inside your Lodgify account, in particular the rental section, where you can manage all of these. So in the overview, you can work on the name, the description, the amenities, rooms, sleeping arrangements. In the photo section, of course, you can upload the pictures, and in the location section, you can edit or adjust your address. Okay, because all of that, as we said, will be then updated on your Vrbo page as well. What about rates and availabilities? After the connection, what happens to your Vrbo rates and to your Vrbo calendar? After connection, so once you have received confirmation from the Vrbo team that the connection has been established, you will have to manage price per night and all rate settings in general from Lodgify. Same with the calendar, so the availability. But what do we refer to when we say availability? If you want to create a closed period because your property maybe is not available during a week because of maintenance or because it's just out of service, okay, you will have to close the availability from Lodgify, and then that block will be exported to Vrbo instantly. Okay, so the calendar is fully managed from Lodgify. The only thing that is managed from Vrbo is the bookings that you receive in Vrbo that are imported into Lodgify, right? So price per night, default and season rates, nightly overrides, and markup. If you're not sure what default and season rates are or nightly overrides are, once again, I redirect you to one of the previous episodes, the one on how to configure the rates in Lodgify, where we have seen how to configure default and season rates, what's the difference, and how to set up nightly overrides on your calendars as well. As for the markup, as we said, the price per night will be managed from Lodgify. But what if you want to have a different price on Vrbo? That means you can't have a different price. Yes, you can. You can set up a markup specific to Vrbo to increase the price configured in Lodgify when sent to Vrbo, or also decrease it. In case you want the price on Vrbo to be lower than the one in Lodgify, you will simply have to set up a negative markup. All right. Fees, taxes, and promotions. Those are also managed from Lodgify. So if you have a fee created in Lodgify, that fee will be exported to Vrbo. If you have a tax created in Lodgify, that will be exported to Vrbo. Promotions will be exported to Vrbo, only if they don't have a promo code in Lodgify. All right. And later in the presentation, we will look at how we can be a bit more flexible. Okay, yeah, but what if I want to have a fee that only applies to Vrbo or only to Lodgify? Is that possible? Yes, it's possible through a feature called derived rates. We will look into it in a second. But in general, the connection allows you to export all fees, tax, and promotions set up in Lodgify to Vrbo. And finally, as we said, the availability. So manual and direct bookings created and received in Lodgify, imported bookings, so in case you're connected to other platforms as well, through the channel manager, of course, those bookings will be imported into Lodgify and exported to Vrbo. Closed periods you create in Lodgify, as we said, and also iCal connection. So if you're connected via iCal to any platform, those blocks that we import through iCal will also be exported to Vrbo. If you're using, just one last thing before we move on to the next slide, if you're using one of the integrated dynamic pricing tools, so PriceLabs or beyond, the prices are imported in that case from PriceLabs and beyond to Lodgify, and Lodgify will export them to Vrbo. So the connection in this case involves 3 different platforms, let's say, but it works just the same. Okay, once again, these are a few screenshots taken from the Lodgify account. In the rate section, you can manage your rates and season rates, fees and taxes, promotions, and add-ons, even though add-ons are not synchronized with Vrbo. So even if you create an add-on in Lodgify, that add-on is not going to be exported to Vrbo, just fees, taxes, and promotions. Okay. Now, I already anticipated in the previous slides that there is indeed a way for you to choose and that allows more flexibility, let's say, in what fees, taxes, and promotions you want to export to Vrbo and which ones you don't want to export to Vrbo. That feature is called derived rates. So just to give you, I'll try to be as clear as possible with the derived rates, okay? But when we connect to Vrbo, so when Lodgify connects to Vrbo, what we are sending to Vrbo is the entire package here. So default rate, season rate, fees and taxes, and promotions. Let's call all of these things combined together the base rate. We connect the base rate to Vrbo so that there's a price per night, there's fees, there's taxes, there's promotions. So anything that you have configured in here is part of the base rate and will be exported to Vrbo. But what if you have, I don't know, a management fee that you don't need to export to Vrbo? You don't want that fee to apply to Vrbo bookings. Or you only want that fee to apply to Vrbo bookings, but not to Lodgify bookings. Okay, in that case, we can create derived rates. Derived rates are like another base rate, okay, that we can customize as we want when it comes to fees, taxes, and promotion. So how do you work with derived rates? You head to the derived rate section of your Lodgify account. You create a derived rate, as you can see in this screenshot specifically. Once you have created the derived rate, go to the fees and taxes or promotion section of your rental. Select or identify the fee that you don't want to export to Vrbo, or you don't want that fee to apply to Lodgify bookings. That depends. Click on Edit Restrictions and then choose to which rate it should apply. Default rate and or season rates refers to Lodgify base rate. So these, whatever is assigned to what is called default rate and or season rates, will apply to Lodgify bookings. But if you don't want the fee, the tax, or the promotion to be exported to Vrbo, then just unassign it from the derived rate that you have just created. Or the other way around. I just want this fee to apply to Vrbo, but not to Lodgify. Okay, in that case, assign it to the Vrbo rate and unassign it from this rate that is the one that refers to basically your Lodgify website, okay? So the direct bookings that you could get through Lodgify. After this has been done, and this can be done with any fee, tax, or promotion without any specific requirement. But after this is done, it is really important that you let us know, because there are some changes that we have to apply in the backend in order for the new rate to actually be connected to Vrbo, okay? But yes, you can choose what you want to apply to Vrbo and to Lodgify. and be fully flexible with fees, taxes, and promotions. Okay. Next, bookings and payments. As we said, after the connection has been confirmed by the VRBO team, bookings you receive in VRBO will be imported into Lodgify, and payments will also be managed in Lodgify. What does it mean? VRBO bookings. Once you receive a new booking, only new bookings. So if before the connection you already had bookings in VRBO, those bookings will not be imported into Lodgify. It's limitation of this integration at the moment. So existing bookings, you will keep managing those from VRBO. New bookings received after the connection will be imported into Lodgify. And the good news is that you can manage those bookings as if they were Lodgify bookings. So all the actions that you would normally take on a booking are taken in Lodgify. That means, do you want to change the dates of a booking or the price of a booking? You can do it from Actually, you have to do it from Lodgify. You can no longer do it in VRBO. You want to cancel a booking, you have to do it in Lodgify. You can no longer do it in VRBO. Okay. And if you want to know more on how to take all of these actions, since VRBO bookings work or are handled just like Lodgify bookings, we also had an episode of this series, Mastering Lodgify series, called Handling Bookings, that you can refer to in case you want to learn more on how to manage Lodgify bookings, because it's the exact same thing as VRBO bookings. There's just one difference that I would like to mention. In Lodgify, you can receive booking requests, so through the website, right? So if you set your rental to be booking request, then the guest submits the booking request, and the booking request enters your Lodgify account with an open status. That means that request is not blocking your Lodgify calendar. With VRBO booking requests instead, so if you decide that you want to accept booking requests on VRBO, the booking request is placed on VRBO, imported into Lodgify with tentative status. That means it is blocking your calendar in Lodgify, okay? And you have to act on that booking request. If you let that booking request expire, you may be penalized, okay? Because it is like you haven't replied to a request submitted by a potential guest. Okay, so it's really important when you receive a booking request from VRBO that you take action. That action can be accept or rejected, it's okay, but don't let it expire. Okay, so as I said, if you want to know more on how to handle those bookings, just refer to the previous episode of this series. You find it in YouTube. And VRBO payments, or how can you collect payments for VRBO bookings? As we said at the beginning of this presentation, one of the integration requirements between Lodgify and VRBO is that you activate either a credit card payment gateway in Lodgify or the integration that Lodgify has to PayPal, or both, of course. This is necessary because VRBO bookings will be paid through Lodgify payment system. They will be managed as if they were Lodgify bookings, okay? And the supported payment methods are credit card and PayPal. All right, so if you don't activate any credit card gateway or the integration to PayPal, that means you will not be able to manage payments in Lodgify, and you won't be able to manage payments in VRBO either. That only leaves you with the option to collect those payments externally of both platforms. That clearly implies much more manual work on your side as well. So it's really not just necessary, but it's actually recommended because everything is automated in that case and less work for you. So how do credit card payments work? On the VRBO listing page, the guest enters their credit card details. VRBO sends the credit card details to Lodgify, and then also the first payment is collected through the VRBO, let's say, platform, and then all subsequent payments are collected through Lodgify payment system, okay? Because we have received the guest credit card details from Vrbo. If the credit card fails or there's an issue with the credit card, we can send a payment request from Lodgify to the guest to collect any pending payment, okay? In the case of PayPal, so if you activate PayPal as your payment method, the guest will still be asked to pay certain Vrbo fees by credit card on Vrbo. This is Vrbo policy, all right? The booking, in the meantime, is imported into Lodgify without payment. So it hasn't been paid yet. It's just the guest paying the fees to Vrbo in Vrbo by credit card. Once the booking enters Lodgify, at that point, you can send the payment request from Lodgify to the guest that will redirect them to the checkout page where they can pay by PayPal. All right, so there's a little difference on how credit card payments are handled and PayPal payments are handled. In these two screenshots, I don't know if you can see, but here on the right side, we can see how the payment flow, let's say, works when it comes to PayPal. You will pay a service fee to Vrbo using a credit card, and then the host will contact you. So this is what the guest sees when you only activate PayPal on your Lodgify account. They will have to pay by credit card these fees, and then it's the host, so you will contact the guest requesting the payment to collect the amount. All right. Instead, with credit card, as we said, it's a little bit more smoother because the guest enters their credit card details directly on their Vrbo listing page or checkout page, and they complete the first payment. And then Vrbo, in the meantime, the booking enters Lodgify, confirmed, etc. And then the booking enters you can request the subsequent payment through Lodgify, and the guest can pay by credit card through Lodgify checkout page. All right, very quickly, how can you manage the Vrbo settings from so the settings of your listings on Vrbo, but from Lodgify, right? So as we said, description, rental name, amenities, sleeping arrangement, rates, they are managed from the same sections that you would use in case you wanted to change something on your Lodgify rental. However, we have a specific section in each one of your rental. There's a section called Sync Settings that I also mentioned earlier, in which you can actually manage some specific settings to Vrbo. These settings are the markup, as we said, so the increase or decrease of the base price that you have in Lodgify. Minimum age in Lodgify, we don't have that setting for our, let's say, direct bookings, but you can have that for Vrbo bookings. So if you want to set a minimum age for Vrbo bookings, you can do it in the Sync Settings page. You can enter a custom headline. So if you want to have two different titles, two different rental names in Lodgify and in Vrbo, you can do that, as long as the custom headline that you set up here in the Sync Settings page for Vrbo is 20 characters long. So this way you can have a shorter name for Lodgify and a longer name for Vrbo. You can change the status of the listing. As we said before, you can unpublish it or publish it in case it's unpublished. And you can hide the directions previously configured in the location section of your rental in Lodgify. Okay, so in the Sync Settings page, you can work specifically on your Vrbo settings. Okay, everything else you can manage from here, from the rental menu. All right, last topic that we will be covering today is related to the messaging integration. What happens if I communicate with one of my guests on Vrbo? Where does that message end? Where can I see it? And what if I reply? So we will be seeing how everything works. And there's also really good news that we will be sharing today about this. So the messaging integration, we don't have an API, or we didn't have an API integration, messaging integration with Vrbo. What does it mean? That our inbox, Lodgify inbox and Vrbo inbox are not synchronized. So messages sent from Vrbo don't appear in Lodgify inbox. and vice versa. If you send a message from Lodgify, that doesn't appear in your VRBO dashboard. Everything is sent by email. What does it mean? If you send a message from the VRBO dashboard, whether it's you or one of your guests, this is sent to your email address or to the guest email address, and it will not show up in the Lodgify inbox. And when the guest receives the email that you have sent from Lodgify, it will, of course, be visible in Lodgify because it was sent from Lodgify, but it will not show in the VRBO inbox. This is how it currently works. But the good news that I wanted to share is that we have already actually developed the API messaging integration with VRBO. It is currently in beta, so we are still testing it. We are in the final stages of this beta phase, and it will be soon released to everybody. Okay, but what does it mean? That now, before the inboxes, Lodgify inbox and VRBO inbox, weren't communicating at all. Now, with the API messaging integration, they are. So the messages you send from Lodgify will show in Lodgify, but will also show in VRBO. And the messages you send in VRBO or from VRBO will show in your VRBO dashboard and also show in your Lodgify, sorry, not in the dashboard, in the inbox, and also in the Lodgify inbox. Okay, so if you send a message to your guest from VRBO, your guest will see it in VRBO, you will see it in VRBO, and you will also see it in Lodgify. And if the guest replies, because the guest, of course, can only, at that point, the guest only replies from VRBO because they see the message in VRBO, but that reply will appear also in the inbox in Lodgify, which is great, right? The only limitation, let's say, of this API messaging integration is that attachments are currently not supported, but they will. So we are already working on this. Okay, they are not yet supported, but they will be. Okay, it's already being worked on. Okay, before we move on to the Q&A, I have collected a few common... I've already looked at the chat and I already saw some questions related to some of these topics. So I want to share with you some of the most common questions, requests that we get from our customers in relation to the integration to VRBO. All right. So, for example, are all amenities I select in Lodgify synced with VRBO? The answer is not all amenities are available in both platforms. If an amenity is not available in Lodgify, we cannot, since amenities are managed in Lodgify, we cannot make it visible in VRBO, and vice versa. If there's an amenity in Lodgify that doesn't have a corresponding amenity in VRBO, we cannot map those. You can check in the Lodgify, in the amenity section of your rental in Lodgify, if you're connected to VRBO, next to each amenity. If you see the VRBO icon, that means the amenity is synchronized. If you don't see it, that means the amenity is not synchronized. For this example, if you see the pets allowed is not synchronized to VRBO, it's just not an amenity. VRBO reads it as a house rule, sorry, but yes, I confirm it is exported to VRBO. But as long as you see the VRBO icon next to the amenity, then it means it's exported. If not, it's not exported. Next question. Why do all beds display in a single bedroom on my VRBO listing page? Very common. That is because of a Lodgify limitation, because in Lodgify, we currently cannot assign beds to bedrooms. Since this is not possible in Lodgify, Lodgify is unable to send that info to VRBO, right? So this is the reason why you may see that all of the beds are assigned to one single bed on your VRBO listing. A possible solution, and Shivali, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong here, but you can contact the VRBO team and ask them to stop the content feed. That means that you will no longer manage the, for example, the sleeping arrangement from Lodgify. You will keep the connection, but you will be able to manage certain settings, such as the bed configuration, directly in VRBO. You can contact the team, the VRBO team, and they will be able to deactivate that specific feed for you, okay, based on your needs and preferences.
Sorry, Adriana, to interrupt you. In this case, just to add something, the house rules will be still feeded from Lodgify. Okay, this is correct for the amenities, but for the house rules will still have to be handled inside Lodgify.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Massimo. Exactly. You remember when we were looking at the amenities before and we saw that pets allowed didn't have the V? That is because it's not really an amenity, it's a house rule, and it's always in all cases managed from Lodgify. Okay, we are talking here about the other amenities and the bed configuration, for example. Okay. All right. Next question and last question, then we can move on to the Q&A. How can I change the cancellation policy on my VRBO listing? So when you request the connection, you will be asked what cancellation policy do you want to use or configure for your VRBO listing. First, you have to choose from the list of cancellation policies that are supported by VRBO. Okay, you choose one, we configure it for you. But if tomorrow you change your mind and instead of the non-refundable, you want to offer the moderate, can you change that? You can, but you have to contact us. So in case you want to change the cancellation policy for VRBO, contact us at help@lodgify.com. The connectivity team will be sure to make those changes for you and let you know once it's done. Unfortunately, there's a step that must be taken from us that you cannot take in the account yourself. That is why just contact us requesting the change, and we will be happy to change the policy for you. All right. So at this point, I would say that it's time for questions. I've seen the chat moving a lot, so I'm guessing that there's a lot of questions, which is great. So let's start. And my colleagues, whenever you want to jump in, please feel free to. So Craig, I have the questions in front of me, and Craig is asking, my listing shows in VRBO Expedia, however, my bookings have stopped and the listing is very low on the list. How can I improve visibility? I don't know if you're hearing us. Maybe you want to take this one, Shivali? I don't know if you can hear us. No, I don't think she can, like the microphone is working. But I guess she can answer in the chat, or maybe we can follow up on this one in the email that we'll be sending tomorrow, okay? Mary is asking, the data feeding to VRBO for my two properties put all the beds in one bedroom. Bedroom one, okay. We'll have one king bed and two twin beds, when in reality I have 3 bedrooms and those beds need to be dispersed between all rooms. Did I set up the rental in Lodgify correctly? No, Mary, you didn't. I think we literally just covered this. It's a limitation on our end. Since we cannot do that in Lodgify, we cannot assign beds to bedrooms. We can't send that info to VRBO either. So whenever something is not possible, I suggest that you guys go to roadmap.lodgify.com and share your feedback. We are always looking at all the feedbacks that you share there. So I really encourage you to do it. What's the minimum nights on VRBO? Maybe Massimo, you want to take this one?
Sorry, can you add the minimum nights?
Yeah.
So there are no minimum nights actually restrictions. So you can set up from 1 to 7 or more nights. We do not have restrictions.
That's right. So you can have 1 night minimum stay or 10 or 30 if you want. James is asking, will we cover taxes on this webinar? Taxes for VRBO bookings are not matching my direct bookings. Yes, we covered the taxes in the presentation. of course, I would have to look at your account to be able to understand what's going on there with your taxes. In this case, I suggest that you reach out to us at help@lodgify.com. We can take a look at your account and specifically try to understand what's going on and why taxes are not matching on the platforms. So with 2 VRBO rentals, I have to have 2 Lodgify accounts. If that is the case, not practical and too expensive. Massimo?
Yes, I replied already in the chat, and I think it was addressed, but you can have 2 rentals inside one VRBO account, and that need to be connected with 2 rentals inside Lodgify account. So the most important thing is that you have one VRBO account connected to one Lodgify account. Then you can have more than one rental, of course.
Thanks. Yeah, so you can either have one VRBO account with 2 listings and one Lodgify account with 2 rentals. In that case, there's no problem. The only problem is that with the currency, if you want to have different currency or use different VRBO master brand, you won't be able to connect 2 different VRBO accounts to us. VRBO messages. So Gina is asking, VRBO messages are not coming into Lodgify, and I've had to be responding messages in VRBO instead of Lodgify. Should that be the case? If you're not part of that beta group that is testing the new API messaging integration, that is the expected behavior. So it is normal not to see the messages that you are sending in Lodgify or through Lodgify in VRBO and vice versa, but that is already been resolved very soon. I don't know exactly the ETA. Maybe, I don't know, Dominic, if you want to jump in on this one, but very soon the new API messaging integration will be released to all users. But that, yes, I confirm that for now.
Yeah, so the API messaging is for the beta. We don't accepting new users, mainly because we testing if it works properly. And as you can imagine, it's better to test on small amount of the users, and that's why it's beta. But we believe in 2 or 4 weeks, we're gonna have the attachment done, and it's gonna be released to all of the users. So it should come pretty soon.
Great, thank you, Dom. So yeah, it's currently the expected behavior, but the improvement that many of you were asking for is already being worked on, is being tested. There's a group of users that is testing it, so it will be very, very soon out to everybody. And you will be able to manage or answer from anywhere, basically. You want to answer from Lodgify, you can. You want to do it from VRBO, you can as well. I have an iCal connection at the moment. Will this be disconnected automatically? It depends. You're in the process of getting connected via API with VRBO. In that case, once you receive the confirmation from VRBO that the connection has been finalized, you can remove the iCal. It is not removed automatically. So you will have to manually remove the iCal connections after you receive confirmation from VRBO. It's not done automatically. Ari is asking, in your presentation, you just say the currency on Lodgify has to be the same as VRBO, but what about some currencies that are apparently not accepted in VRBO? I really don't understand if this is the case or not. I was also before talking about ZAR specifically. Shivali, of course, she would have answered this question way better than I can. But yeah, VRBO doesn't support all currencies. It supports a limited number of currency, right? So you will have to choose out of the currencies supported by VRBO which one you want to use. That means on which master brand you want to activate your listings. In terms of the reason why some currencies are supported and some are not, this is more for the VRBO team to answer. The only requirement is that whatever currency you decide to choose in VRBO, you have to match it in Lodgify. Okay, so yes, I would say that ZAR is not a supported currency, but maybe I am wrong, but I don't think so. Somewhere in our knowledge base as well, there should be also the list of supported currencies by VRBO. So I couldn't find any other question in the Q&A section here in the chat, but I see a lot of movements in the chat. Lodgify promises to be a single platform. Sorry, I'm looking for. There's a lot of messages. Is there a way to control? Okay, I have no question. Is Alexandra is asking, is there a way to control pricing separately aside from just markups downs? I would like to use price labs on VRBO, but not on Lodgify. Massimo?
Yes, actually, it is not possible. I mean, we send the prices from Lodgify and being integrated with the VRBO. This is not possible at the moment. So you can use markup to have a different pricing, but it is the only way. Even using price labs, for example, you can use price labs. The prices from price labs will be sent to Lodgify and from Lodgify to VRBO, but you can change it with markup.
Yeah, exactly. So you can only integrate to price labs through Lodgify. So if you want to use price labs, you will have to go through Lodgify as well if you want to use that on VRBO. How to delete old VRBO account? Okay, this is for Shivali, maybe. There are direct. Okay, a lot of questions for you, Shivali, I think. It's normal. I don't know. I see that also my colleagues have been super responsive in the chat. So I guess the majority of questions or all the questions were answered in these 15 minutes or in the chat. But we will take a look at the questions after we close this meeting, let's say. And if there's any question that we have missed, not on purpose, of course, we will follow up in the email that we will be sending tomorrow or Monday together with the recording of the meeting. I don't know if any of my colleagues wants to say something before we close the call, or you guys spotted some questions that we didn't answer. If not, I would say that we can close this session. Thank you very much to you guys, to my colleagues, to participate, to join, and to help in the chat and answering all the questions that you had. It was amazing to see so many of you being very active in the chat. And also thank you to Shivali for joining us, even though there were some technical issues with the microphone. I'm sure that a lot of our mutual users or potential users benefited from having you in the chat and to share some further clarifications on the VRBO side of things. And finally, I want to thank you all for joining us, for signing up to this webinar, to ask all these questions. And I also remind you that there's more webinar coming, so stay tuned. We will be sending more and more invitations in the upcoming months on other topics as well. And also remind you that there's our channel on YouTube, Lodgify, where you can find the recording of the previous webinars of this series, Mastering Lodgify series, but also all the other webinars that the amazing marketing team has already run in the past. Okay, so I really encourage you to watch those. Yes, the recording will be sent to you by tomorrow, no worries. Okay, I'm reading quickly through the chat. For any other questions, you can contact us at help@lodgify.com if you already have a subscription with us, or at sales@lodgify.com if you're thinking of subscribing. Okay, with that said, I'm going to close the call. Thank you again to everybody, my colleagues, you guys for joining, and Shivali, I will see you in the next one. Have a nice rest of the day. Bye.